I think demographics are a good place to start. I would have told you 2 or 3 years ago that it was a lack of new product and a lack of innovation. But since then, we've seen some of the most innovative launches in the history of the company, and yet sales have only accelerated downward. And so that's clearly been a problem. And I think it does speak to an undeniable demographic issue. Look, 10,000 baby boomers retire every day, and these guys are trying to replace those customers, which has been their core customer historically, with a millennial generation that's coming into its own. And so I think today's announcement really speaks to that effort. Harley-Davidson going after not only millennials here in the U.S., but international consumers around the world.
So some have accused, as we just discussed, Harley of using the tariff issue when maybe there are other issues really at work as to why they've moved their production, at least some of it, overseas. Presumably, in the interview that Morgan Brennan did, the exclusive with the CEO, later he's going to tell her that no, that's absolutely not the case. That's not true. Which is it? What's the right answer?
As is usually the case, I think there's some gray area here. I think it's some of both. Look, under the current retaliatory tariffs being placed on motorcycles by the EU, they're not making any money on motorcycles. So that $2,200 represents more or less the majority of what they were making per motorcycle. And so one way or another, those jobs were going to leave the United States, either because they were going to stop making motorcycles or selling to Europe, or because they were going to move that production. Having said that, I actually think it's potentially a benefit long term, right? We talked about how they're going to be eating these costs over the next year to year and a half. But I think as we look back, call it late next year or early 2020, they're probably going to be more profitable than they've ever been in terms of the European bikes that they sell, because in all likelihood they're going to be making those bikes in a lower cost market.
Who do you think has controlled the narrative thus far? Is it the company saying, look, this trade policy is bad, tariffs are bad, and here's what we're doing as a result? Or is it the administration which has said, look, Harley's the issue, they're unpatriotic? Is there the chance of a fallout from that with their customers?
Yeah, there's certainly that risk, and I think management has done a great job of stating their case, but avoiding a Twitter war to go along with the trade war that they find themselves in the middle of. I think it goes without being said that there's a significant amount of overlap between the president's support base and Harley-Davidson's customer base. So to the extent that this back and forth continues, I think that would be a major issue for them, which is why I think it's smart that it's mainly a back rather than a back and forth, and they've largely stuck to the script rather than responding directly to the president's comments and tweets.